All right, good morning. Thank you all for coming. My name is Renee Flaherty, and I'm an attorney with the Institute for Justice. I'm joined today by Josh Wyndham, also an IJ attorney, and Denton Worrell, who's with Shanahan McDougall and is our local counsel in the case, and Dr. Gajendra Singh, who's one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit that we're here to talk about today. The Institute for Justice is a nonprofit public interest law firm. We litigate in state and federal courts all across the country to protect people's rights to educational choice, freedom of speech, private property, and economic liberty. And economic liberty is what we're here to talk about today. It's the basic right to earn an honest living, and it's a right that's under assault in America every day. We're here to talk about it in the context of healthcare. Dr. Singh earns his living as a surgeon, and he also owns and founded Forsyth Imaging Center in Winston-Salem, where he provides affordable diagnostic imaging services for his community. Dr. Singh would like to purchase a fixed MRI scanner for his imaging center, but North Carolina's outdated anti-competitive healthcare laws keep him from doing that. It's called a certificate of need law, and it means that Dr. Singh has to ask permission from the government before he's allowed to purchase an MRI scanner. 34 states in the District of Columbia have laws like these, and North Carolina's is one of the worst in the country. That's why we filed a constitutional lawsuit challenging North Carolina's certificate of need law on behalf of Dr. Singh. Josh is going to tell you a little bit more about that lawsuit, and then we'll hear from Dr. Singh, and then we can answer any questions that you all might have.
Thanks, Renee.
Pause for a second. Just want to make sure you turn the camera on. Yes. Turn it off.
Hello, everybody. My name is Josh Wyndham. I'm also an attorney at the Institute for Justice. As Renee mentioned, we're here today because Dr. Gajendra Singh wants to provide safe, quality, affordable imaging services for patients who need them, but the state of North Carolina says that he can't do that. Dr. Singh founded Forsyth Imaging Center in 2017 to provide scans that patients could actually afford. Patients kept telling him in his general surgery practice that they couldn't afford the prices of scans in his area, and also that the prices weren't transparent. Patients couldn't figure out their out-of-pocket costs up front, and they were often hit by multiple bills in the mail months later that they weren't told they were going to have to pay for. Dr. Singh felt that was fundamentally unfair for patients. So in 2017, he founded Forsyth Imaging Center to provide these scans cheaper and more transparently than other providers were willing to do. Since opening the center, Dr. Singh has successfully acquired all of the equipment he needs to provide these scans, except for one piece of equipment. He's allowed to have an X-ray machine, he's allowed to have ultrasound machines, he's even allowed to have a CT scanner. What he's not allowed to have, and what North Carolina bans him from having, is an MRI scanner. North Carolina's certificate of need law says that Dr. Singh can't purchase an MRI scanner to provide these scans unless state planners in Raleigh have predetermined a need for that scanner in his area, based on things like the number of scanners already in operation and the number of scans those scanners performed. In 2018, the planners didn't project a need for a new scanner, so Dr. Singh couldn't apply for one. In other words, Dr. Singh is banned from getting an MRI scanner to provide scans patients actually need because the hospital down the street already has one. That's unconstitutional. In North Carolina in 1973, the Supreme Court struck down a previous version of the con law on exactly these grounds. But in 1978, the General Assembly reenacted that law despite the Supreme Court's decision to qualify for federal funding. Dr. Singh is here today, once again, to strike down this con law, teaming up with the Institute for Justice to vindicate his right to provide safe, quality, affordable imaging services for patients who need them in North Carolina. So with that, I'm honored to introduce you to Dr. Gajendra Singh.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Gajendra Singh. I was born and raised in India. I was a surgeon in India, and I grew up lower middle class or poor family. I didn't have much. I've been here surgeon in the United States for a long time, and I do general surgery and GI cancer surgery. In my course of my lifetime, I have seen a lot of patients who needs a lot of scanning, CT scan and MRI. And when they come to my office, sometimes they cry that they make $1,500, $2,000, and they end up in emergency room and had a $10,000 bill. So finally, that was the reason for me to start doing imaging study on my own. My own experience from last year when they asked me for $1,200, my own ultrasound kind of pushed me over the edge to just finally put it down the stone and start it. My goal in my life is to provide the community care, affordable care as much as anyone living in the country, regardless of the race, religion, nationality, of income level, should be able to afford and get all the health care they need. By con law, we are actually prohibiting that. We are raising the prices, inflating them artificially. If we have more competition, if we can provide more care by lowering the prices, that was my goal. I've tried to provide as much care with as low prices as possible. And I was thankful with the Institute of Justice for them to team up to fight against the con law for the state of North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
You have your file soon already?
Yes. Yes, we are filed.
Yeah.
Yesterday, actually.
Yesterday. You want to buy an MRI.
Right.
Why not just send your patients to, there must be 1,000 places you can get an MRI.
Right.
Why not just say, go over there and get it? I mean, God knows when I go to the doctor, they'll like go down the street and get your blood taken.
Right. It's a very interesting question. Even though all the hospitals and imaging centers are competing with each other, there's kind of like a non-competing factor in there. If you call different imaging centers or hospital and you ask for anything, for any prices, first of all, they won't give you pricing. So you won't know how much is your bill until you get there. And then even if you pay up front, then multiple bills going to keep coming after like weeks and months. You know, there may be facility fee, there may be a radiologist fee, there may be some other hidden bill which you won't know. When you call different places and you're lucky if you get prices, they're almost in the same ballpark. Like, you know, somebody would say, we will do it for $2,000. The other one will say, we'll do it for $1,900. Somebody would say for $2,100. But they are not the bottom price. My goal for me to get this thing is so I can bring the prices down. Nobody does the MRI for $500 like what we offer. And what we do is like our prices are single flat fee. When you come there, if you don't have insurance, the $500 includes everything. You don't get any other bill that includes reading fee and everything. It's very simple, very transparent. The prices are on the website, they're on the flyer. So we're not trying to trick the patient to come to us and then tell them over the phone that it's going to cost you $200 and then they get $2,000 bill. This doesn't happen at any other place. You can try any hospital anywhere else. There's always some kind of hidden fee. And the prices are, we claim we have our prices are lowest in the state. And we stand by that.
So, but the certificate of need process, I mean, I've heard it through the news and not just for MRI, it's hospitals. It's a way the government is keeping, basically making sure everything's even. I mean, the government it was good, right? This is an important thing they do, right?
Originally, when it was started, there was a reason to keep the services even and keep control on it. In today's market, and what I say that competition is kind of lifeblood of American society and American culture. Any kind of business or entrepreneurship, when you have more competition, it is good for the community. We are exempting or giving an exception to the medical community where we have taken the competition out of the picture with the con law. We have given the upper hand to the hospital where they make $500 million, $1 billion being non-profit. I pay taxes. I'm for profit, but my goal is to provide affordable care. If the hospital turns towards the community and they bring their prices down, I won't need MRI. But this is what I want. And I will just...
Yeah, I just want to add one thing to that. I mean, so the question was, you know, the goal of con laws is to keep things even keel, right? And for the government to kind of make sure things are stable. I mean, even if that was the original justification for con laws, that hasn't been the reality since these laws have been in effect. The federal government repealed its original incentive for states to adopt con laws in 1986. Since then, multiple states have repealed their own con laws. And in those states, including California, including Texas, the sky hasn't fallen. In fact, things have gotten a lot better. Prices have gone down and patients have had more access to services. So the real world example provided by states like California and Texas belies the original theory for con laws.
Let's say a couple of the justifications I'm wrong, and actually the doctor would be the best one to answer both. First, you say you have a con law because they have judged that there is no need for an extra MRI machine
in that particular area. They decide in various parts of the state who needs what and when. Based on your experience, is there a need for another MRI machine where you are?
Well, how do you determine the need? The way state decide these things, I'm going to let these Renee and Josh, add in the answer in there. But what my experience is, the state had decided there is a certain number of MRI in the community and a certain population. One MRI should be able to do the certain number. So if the population is 1 million and there's about 20 MRI, we don't need any more. But does that justify the community where you give the upper hand to the big hospitals? They create a monopoly and they can charge whatever they want, up to $5,000 or $10,000. In my opinion, it is not about the number of MRI available. It is what kind of services you're providing to the community. Do you want to restrict that number? Even if I go for an MRI, if I have to pay $5,000 or $10,000, or if I want to pay $500, if we have 2 more MRI or 5 more MRI, that can bring the cost down for the community. That's what the goal is.
Yeah, that leads to follow, which was the second question, which was one of the original justifications for certificate of need was all of these providers are going to get too much equipment, they aren't going to be able to afford to pay for all of this, or they're going to build too many facilities, and they're going to end up going under, and then people will end up having fewer services. My guess is before you decided you wanted to buy an MRI, you looked into it, saw whether it was something affordable and sustainable. You aren't just going into it saying, oh, we'll get an MRI machine if it doesn't work, too bad.
Right. So I'm not the only one. Like different providers in other states have done it, where they had the con laws before. When the con laws got repealed and there are more facilities opened up, it didn't create that situation which you're describing, like that providers bought the MRI scanner or imaging center and they couldn't pay for it. This actually created a better environment for the community and patient and their sustainable model. And I'm going to let Josh or Renee add in there.
The one thing that I would add about the need determination, it's determined by the state medical facilities plan, and it's a very kind of obscure formula that they use, and it's their job to keep track of how many MRIs are out there or how many cons are out there. And based on what we've looked into in the numbers, it doesn't even seem like they do a good job of that. And so, this need determination is obviously not based on reality, because you've got patients who are coming to Dr. Singh who say that they need these services. And so the state medical facilities plan is divorced from that reality.
And I would add one more thing in there. So the con law is based on the county basis, how many MRI you can have in the county. We have patients who are coming from Virginia, from Charlotte, from this area, so they're not limited to one county, they're coming from out of the state too. So if you want to just say the con law is based on one county, we need one MRI in certain population, but the kind of services we are providing, that already explains that the con law is not useful for the community, because we have patients from different counties and different states. They're coming from Virginia too. They're driving 2 or 3 hours just come to get an MRI done. That explains it is beneficial for the community not to have con law and more MRI services.
You alluded to this earlier, but one of the objections we've heard out on in other instances is that it has ended up being a way for the incumbent service providers, like the big hospitals, to keep other people out.
Right.
Because if you win the con, you're great. If you don't, you're in bad shape. But sometimes you win the con and someone else will fight it.
Right.
Is your particular situation that way as well? That's the hospital or someone else who already has an MRI saying, don't let this doctor get one?
Well, not directly. Well, right now in Forsyth County, where my office is, there is no need. So the need has to be created. After you create the need, that takes a lot of money and time to create the need. And even after you create the need, it is not necessary that I will get that MRI. Anyone in the community or outside the community, even from a doctor from Raleigh, can go to Forsyth County and say well, there is a need in here, I want that con. So, even I spent $500,000, got an attorney, got a con, it does not guarantee that I will get an anyone can get it. So it is a kind of the process which is faulty, to begin with, it doesn't help anything. The hospital directly has not said and come to me like, well, you can't have MRI, but indirectly, like, they tell their providers that, we have enough services, we can provide the services.
Can I add one thing to that? Even though Dr. Singh hasn't received direct pressure from any hospital or group, it is literally true to your question that he can't get an MRI scanner because the hospital down the street has multiple of them. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio, right? If that center down the street lost a scanner or gave up one of his scanners, all of a sudden Dr. Singh would be able to get a scanner or at least apply for a scanner. So it is very much dependent on who's already an incumbent provider, whether or not a new provider can come into the market. And like in '73, when the Supreme Court struck down the previous con law, it did so on exactly these grounds, right? It did so because the law, all it did was protect incumbent providers without providing any other benefits to patients. And so that's why we're expecting the Supreme Court to do the same thing here.
Well, that was my question. So was there anything in the 1978 legislation that differed markedly from what the Supreme Court struck down? In other words, did they cure whatever affects the Supreme Court rule unconstitutional?
No, the major difference in the 1978 law, the one that's currently on the books, are a series of legislative findings of fact that are basically the preamble to the law. Those findings of fact essentially say that con laws are needed to keep prices low for patients and keep access to care broad, right? That has not been the reality of con laws across the country or in North Carolina or in the context of MRIs, as Dr. Singh's situation illustrates. Not only that, but when those findings of fact were made, MRI scanners weren't really popularized or commercial, right? So North Carolina started regulating MRI scanners under its con law in 1993. The findings of fact were made in 1978. They don't apply to MRIs.
Can you expound a little bit on what the constitutional grounds are, why you think this is?
Yeah, absolutely. The major claim that we've got at the sort of front of our complaint. So we've got 4 claims, right? We've got an anti-monopoly claim, we've got an exclusive emoluments claim, we've got a substantive due process claim, and we've got an equal protection claim. But the basic thread running through all of our claims is that all this law does is protect established providers from competition and exclude people who want to enter the market to provide services for patients. Now, there's no reason for that. All it does is protect established providers from competition. It doesn't provide, greater access to care or keep prices low or any of that. So that is the core of our anti-monopoly claim, and it sort of runs through all of our other claims. Do you have anything to add to that, Renee?